What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Sunday, August 11th. We'll start things off as always with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league. We are lucky enough to come away from Monday with no significant IL placements, so we'll move right into our transactions and start off with outfielder Byron Buxton, who was activated from the 10-day IL after missing time with rib cartilage inflammation. Buxton will return to being the everyday center fielder and leadoff hitter for the Minnesota Twins, which will force Austin Martin into the short side of a right field platoon with Alan Rodin, and will force outfielder Carson McCusker to the minors. Next, we have starting pitcher Christian Javier, who was activated from the 60-day IL to make his season debut after missing the whole season after undergoing Tommy John surgery last year. Javier took on the Red Sox in his return and looked pretty solid, tossing 5 innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 earned runs while walking 2 and striking out 5. He induced 10 whiffs with 27% CSW across 85 pitches, and we'll get the Orioles up next. I think Javier should be rostered everywhere, and with the success in his first start, I am totally fine starting him in his second start. Next, we have starting pitcher Chase Dollander, who was recalled from the minors to start in St. Louis. He tossed 5 innings, allowing 3 hits and 1 earned run, walking 3 while striking out 5, inducing 11 whiffs with 30% CSW across 92 pitches. Pretty solid start here from Dollander, who has struggled throughout the season pitching for the Rockies and in Coors. He'll get the Diamondbacks up next, and that's probably not one I'm going to be targeting, but it's nice to see Dollander find some success in the majors. Next, we have outfielder Everson Pereira, who was recalled from the minors by the Rays. He's the Rays' number 25 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, and was acquired from the Yankees in exchange for Jose Caballero at this year's trade deadline. At AAA, Pereira has batted .256 with 21 homers, 9 steals, and a 128 WRC+, but he is a guy who strikes out a lot, and that's something that may prevent him from finding success in the majors. Nonetheless, Pereira is expected to be the everyday center fielder for the Rays. In a corresponding move, outfielder Tristan Peters was optioned to the minors. Next, we have outfielder Jacob Melton, who was recalled from the minors by the Astros. According to MLB Pipeline, he is the Astros' number 2 prospect. He made his debut earlier this year in June, but he's likely to be out of everyday playing time in Houston. He's probably going to be in a 4th outfielder role for the Astros. In a corresponding move, Cooper Hummel was designated for assignment. That's to make room for Jacob Melton. And lastly, starting pitcher Jack Kochanowicz was optioned to the minors. He surrendered a combined 12 runs in his last 2 starts, so definitely going back to the minors to try to figure things out. Victor Medeiros is expected to be recalled from the minors to start today versus the Dodgers in a corresponding move, but I would not be targeting that in fantasy, not only because of Medeiros' abilities, but also because he's taken on the mighty Dodgers. In terms of news, starting pitcher Shane McClanahan underwent season-ending surgery to address a nerve issue in his arm. So if you've been holding onto him on your IL spot in any of your leagues, go ahead and drop McClanahan. Pretty unfortunate season for McClanahan. I can't even remember if he pitched at all this year, and if he did, it was very brief. Looking forward to him coming back strong next year. And lastly, closing pitcher Josh Hader is dealing with shoulder discomfort and is undergoing testing. If you're looking for saves in Houston, I'd be targeting Brian Abreu, maybe a little bit of Bennett Sousa as well. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had just 11 games on our slate. We'll start it off with our hitters leading off with shortstop Zach Neto, who helped the Angels to win against the Dodgers, going 3 for 3 with 3 runs, 2 home runs, 2 runs batted in, and 2 walks. He's up to 19 homers now. First one traveled 402 feet at 106 miles per hour. Second one went 397 feet at 107 miles per hour. And Neto put up a quiet 20-30 season as a 23-year-old last year and has only improved this year at the plate as he's closing in on 20 homers to go with his 21 steals while displaying marked improvements in batted ball quality. Neto found most of his power last year by pulling half of his batted balls to make up for his average StatCast metrics. He's still maximizing his power this year with pulled fly balls, but has accompanying StatCast metrics to support his continued power improvements with a 13% barrel rate and 47% hard hit rate, Neto has the ability to surpass 25 homers this year while sporting a batting average north of 270. He's at 272 right now, and after failing to eclipse 250 last year. On top of that, Neto's been the leadoff hitter every day for the Angels this year, leading to a surge in runs scored. One of the more underrated players in baseball, Neto will be an early round draft pick this upcoming offseason because of his impressive power speed combo. Lastly, we've got outfielder Wyatt Langford, who helped the Rangers to win against the Diamondbacks in a rematch of the 2024-2023 World Series. Langford went 1-for-4 with a run, a home run, and 3 runs batted in. It was his 16th homer of the year, and it traveled 410 feet at 108 miles per hour. And after an impressive rookie campaign in which he finished stronger than he started, it looked as if Langford was destined for stardom in 2025. However, the dreaded sophomore slump has had an effect on him, but not to an obscene degree. He's still been solid, and not without underlying metrics that are notable enough to maintain the intrigue in his upside. Strikeouts have become a concerning issue this year for Langford. He's up over 26% after being in the low 20s last year, as he's become more aggressive despite seeing a massive drop in contact out of the zone. Luckily, he's offset that by hitting the ball harder than ever, producing a 13% barrel rate and 46% hard hit rate that support his increased rate of long balls. Outside of that, there isn't much for Langford to hang his hat on, but I wouldn't be labeling him as a bust just yet, or somebody that's maybe more mid than all-star. Still, he's only 23 years old, and a fully healthy season with the batted ball metrics he's displayed this year should have Langford rising up the list of top outfielders in baseball next year. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Will Warren, who helped the Yankees to win against the Twins, tossing 6 2/3 innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 earned runs while walking nobody and striking out 7. He induced 11 whiffs with 45% CSW across 85 pitches, and he led baseball with that 45% CSW to earn the King Cole on Monday, thanks to a passive Twins lineup that took a boatload of called strikes. Warren cooked with his four-seamer in this one, keeping it away from both righties and lefties to tunnel with his sinker and sweeper. The heater stole 10 called strikes and induced 4 whiffs for 50% CSW, while the sinker snuck backdoor against righties all night for a trio of whiffs and 44% CSW. His slider went backdoor against lefties for 8 called strikes and induced 4 whiffs against righties, ultimately producing 57% CSW, and that 3-pitch mix was enough to allow Warren to easily pitch into the 7th frame in under 90 pitches and continue what has been a solid breakout campaign. We'll keep starting Warren with the Cardinals in St. Louis up next. And lastly, we've got Zebby Matthews on the opposite side of Warren, who did all he could, but the Twins lost to the Yankees in New York. Matthews tossed 5 2/3 innings, allowing 6 hits and 3 earned runs while walking 1 and striking out 9. He induced 18 whiffs with 37% CSW across 99 pitches, and he tied with Andrew Abbott for the gallows pull on Monday with those 18 whiffs. Matthews found success against the mighty Yankees, shoving heaters in the zone and taking what he got. The pitch allowed a pair of homers, but it also returned 7 foul balls, 8 called strikes, and 4 whiffs for 34% CSW, as the upper 90s pitch found success more often than not. A third homer came off his slider, which was a whiff machine low in the zone, returning 7 whiffs for 39% CSW, while Matthews' changeup aided against lefties, inducing a trio of whiffs for 38% CSW. Matthews' cutter once again took pressure off the rest of his arsenal to live in the zone, earning strikes 100% of the time. And I think the usage should go up on that pitch, the cutter, so he can avoid having to throw fastballs in the zone that seem to get pummeled all the time, despite the high velocity. Ultimately, though Zebby has great stuff and does not have the best execution, and I'd love to see him try to get batters to chase more by throwing pitches out of the zone, because he's been giving up so many hits and homers on pitches down the pipe. That being said, I'm still looking to start Zebby Matthews with the Tigers up next because the whiffs have been flowing recently. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Orion Kirkring pitched a perfect ninth for his 3rd save. Yohan Duran had pitched back-to-back days, so he was taking the day off. Carlos Estevez recorded his AL leading 30th save with a hitless ninth. Will Vest pitched a perfect ninth for his 17th save. Kyle Finnegan pitched a perfect eighth in a tie game in that one. So looks like we may get a closer committee in Detroit moving forward, but definitely keep an eye on that situation. Bennett Sousa got the final out of the game for his fourth save, with Josh Hader unavailable in that one. Kenley Jansen pitched a perfect ninth for his 22nd save. Robert Suarez recorded his MLB leading 33rd save with a perfect ninth. And lastly, Pete Fairbanks pitched a scoreless ninth for his 20th save. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, David Bednar pitched a perfect ninth up by 4 after the Yankees tacked on an insurance run in the 8th, so he was in line for a save before that. Grant Taylor pitched a scoreless 8th in a tie game that the White Sox would lose in 9. And lastly, Phil Maton pitched a perfect 10th in a tie game and earned his second win when the Rangers walked it off in the bottom half. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on PitcherList.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, August 12th, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Paul Skeens versus Freddie Peralta. Really, any matchup that includes Paul Skeens is must watch. He's been so incredible to start his career, and he'll square off against one of the best teams in baseball, the Brewers, and Freddie Peralta, who has been solid, really good throughout the whole season. In terms of probable starters, we've got 6 guys in our auto starts tier, including both Skeens and Peralta. We've also got Robbie Ray versus the Padres, George Kirby in Baltimore, Ranger Suarez in Cincinnati, and Carlos Rodon versus the Twins. Our probably starts tier has 4 guys, and our questionable starts tier has 8, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Jacob Lopez as he takes on the Rays. The Rays have a lefty-heavy lineup, something that Lopez can take advantage of. And on top of that, Lopez was dope in his last start. I think it was 7 shutout with 10 punch outs. He's been very underrated this year and should find success against the Rays here. I'd also keep an eye out for Emmett Sheehan in LA against the Angels. Sheehan has really good stuff, but he hasn't been allowed to go deep into games yet, so that limits his ceiling a bit. Nonetheless, he pitches for the Dodgers, great chance for a win, and the Angels are not a lineup that I think are going to do a ton of damage against Sheehan. In terms of hitter suggestions, I'd be looking at Phillies and Reds hitters in Great American Ballpark. Great ballpark to target hitters in. As always, we'll see Ranger Suarez square off against Brady Singer in that one. I'd also look at Blue Jays hitters versus Ben Brown and his 6.04 ERA. Blue Jays definitely have some hitters that are out there on your waiver wire, should be able to take advantage of the cushy pitching matchup. I'd also target Royals hitters versus Mitchell Parker. He's got a 5.43 ERA on the season, so target some right-handed hitting Royals. And lastly, I'll be looking at Cardinals hitters versus Kyle Freeland. He is also a southpaw, so I'm looking at right-handed hitting Cardinals hitters, but Freeland has been not great this year, 5.53 ERA. It is outside of Coors, but nonetheless, that's sort of the whole thing with the Coors Field effect, is that when pitchers leave Coors after figuring out what works there, they don't find a lot of success outside of it. So target right-handed hitting Cardinals hitters against Kyle Freeland. And now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Grant Taylor has pitched on back-to-back days, so expect Jordan Leisure to be the top option for saves for the White Sox on Tuesday. And Carlos Estevez has pitched in 3 in a row, so expect Lucas Erceg to be the Royals' temporary closer on Tuesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to PitcherList.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. I'll be out the next 2 days and throughout the weekend. So Trevor Hooth will be with you tomorrow, the next day, and the next day throughout the weekend as well. So with me out, make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.